In this video, I'm going to show you how to level up faster for your chosen PvP faction. I'm going to split this video up into 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about the fastest way to level up for your beginner to average player. Then we're going to talk about the fastest way to level up as an average to expert player. Then at the end of the video, we're going to talk about some methods that actually don't require PvP and still allow you to gain allegiance for your factions. This first method is quite well known. It's more targeted towards the beginner to intermediate players. Raise the emissary for your chosen faction. Then you're going to want to try and win 2 fights. I know that's easier said than done. If you need some tips on how to win more fights, I've got that on my channel, but you have to win 2 fights. Doing this will give you grade 5 in your chosen emissary faction, whether it's Athena or Reaper. Let's say you went for Athena, for example. After your 2 fights, you might have some Reaper emissary flags. So go to the nearest outpost, sell your emissary flags to the mysterious stranger, lower your hourglass, and then lower your emissary flag. This is considered the best situation for risk versus reward. Also, if you're still salivating out the mouth for some more PvP action, just re-raise your emissary flag, go back in, win another 2, rinse and repeat. So this next method is what I use a lot of the time, and that is more targeted towards people that have a bit of confidence in their PvP skills and can win a lot of fights in a row. So similar to last time, you're going to raise an emissary flag for whatever faction you choose to represent. The only difference here is you're actually going to go for what's called faction champion, and that's a win streak of 4. Now the reason you want to try and push for 4 fights and win them all is there is something called a streak multiplier. So when you win fights, you get more allegiance each time you increase your winning streak. However, after winning 4 fights, the streak multiplier is capped out. You can still increase the streak itself, but the multiplier stops at 4. I do want to make a quick note because I know there are some of you out there that are similar to me where you got your curses and it's more about the thrill of the fight as opposed to allegiance. And I can find myself sometimes just going on a long win streak and seeing where I can get it to. Yeah, I might sink at the end of it and get no allegiance for lowering the hourglass, but sometimes it's more about the thrill of the fight as opposed to the allegiance and the gold, so I can 100% understand that, and that is definitely a viable method. The last method is actually looking at gaining allegiance through PvE. So when you pledge your allegiance for your faction, you don't actually have to dive looking for fights. You can just continue and do some world events, maybe do some voyages, and build up the loot on your ship. Now if you go down to the hourglass, you will see something that's called a treasure grade. Your treasure grade can go up to grade 5, and that's just by stacking loot. The more loot you get, the higher your grade will become. Once you lower your hourglass, you will get more allegiance depending on how high you were able to get your treasure grade up to. Now here's a few things to think about. The minute you vote on the hourglass, you technically can be invaded at any point. But I do have a few tricks that will help with this. So the first tip I have is picking a time where you know that your server is going to have less players on it. For me, it's early in the morning. There's always less players then, so it's always the best time to do this. If you want to get a general idea when the least amount of players will be playing Sea of Thieves, you can come to this site called SteamDB and look at this graph. This shows how active players are at different times during the day. You can see here there's a dip here around about 9 o'clock UTC, so you can find when there are little players on and play the game at that time. The next tip is probably the best tip for getting allegiance without having to fight, and that is doing a world event. Let's say you pick the Ashen Wind event. Now you complete the Ashen Wind event, and now that you've completed the event, you want to go straight down and vote down on your hourglass. After that, load up all the loot onto your ship, get as close to grade 5 in your loot stash as you can, then go straight to an outpost and lower your hourglass with the loot still on your ship. Now the benefit of doing this is you're minimizing the time that your hourglass is down, which minimizes the chances of you getting invaded by an enemy faction. I'm telling you, this is actually a really god tier strat if you are going out of your way to want to earn allegiance by not fighting. Now that you know how to gain more allegiance faster, you should check out this video to become a PvP master with a few simple tips. However, maybe PvP isn't your thing and you want to make a lot of gold, check out this video here that will show you how to do that as a solo player. Thank you so much for the love and support lately, guys. I really do appreciate it.
and hallucinate. Yeah.